Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
Hopefully you guys have been watching Tiger King while you're stuck in quarantine.
Welcome back to Buchanan Buzz. We're talking to you about PR fails. This week we'll be talking about coronavirus fails and some good things, probably some more successes again this week, because we know it's a lot of negativity going on, and we want to bring you some positive stories. And thank you to all of our replay watchers, replay viewers tuning into this later. Hey Maria.
Hi, Maria.
And Jaw.
If this is your first time tuning in, we tend to talk about the PR fails in our industry. Last week was our first quarantine episode. Lauren and I actually live together in addition to working together, so this is a social distancing safe Facebook Live coming at you. But last week we talked about a lot of the coronavirus fails and successes that we'd seen, and obviously since this is a moving situation that no one has seen before, it's kind of taken over pretty much every aspect of our lives. So we felt like we would be remiss to not also continue some of that discussion this week.
Yeah, and I just want to point out again, last week too, I have the Facebook Live up on my phone, so if you see me looking away, it's so I can see your questions better. And again, as we always say, please ask us questions, because we want this to be a two-way, 10-way conversation as much as possible. And we got some really great questions from you last week. Katie's mom had some really great ones.
She was tuned in. Hi, Mom. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Allie.
But before we jump into everything, I kind of just wanted to take a minute to just check in on how everyone is doing. Obviously, this is an extremely stressful time for pretty much everyone, and it's an unknown time for pretty much everyone. There is no right way to do things, and we're facing situations that people probably never anticipated that they were going to be facing. So we just want to make sure that you're all staying safe and healthy, and practicing social distancing is super important. And we just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that we hope everything is staying good out there, and we encourage you throughout this to ask questions. We want this to be fun, light, a nice break in your day, as opposed to reading maybe some of the gloom and doom out there.
Yeah, and if you have any positive productivity tips, just a funny video to watch, anything, let us know in the comments so we can bring some more positivity to this show, because it is a show about PR fails, so we do want to bring you that, but we do know that you're seeing a lot of negativity, as we're saying, and we want to make this as light as possible. But yeah, if we don't have any initial questions, we can jump right in with a fail. Katie?
Well, my probably biggest fail of the week that I saw was NYU's dean. As I'm sure many people are aware and are facing, a lot of colleges have had to completely pivot to online classes. Some had, as this has been progressing, they've now completely closed, graduation ceremonies and things like that. So a lot of NYU students were pushing the dean to get reimbursement of their tuition, because obviously virtual classes doesn't work for everyone, and certainly isn't the education that they were signing up for. And the dean sent out an email to, I guess, was the entire student body, saying that it was not in her power to basically be reimbursing them. And in what I can't understand, included a video of herself dancing to REM's Losing My Religion. So she said, nope, not going to give you your money back, but enjoy this dance video of me.
Of a great song that you're destroying immediately by dancing to.
So this is a PR fail, I think, for the pretty obvious reason that you're communicating a really serious message. People's finances are, a lot of people are facing financial struggles right now, and to be basically saying you're not going to be getting a refund in a time where people are already struggling, and to try and make light of it with a funny dancing video, it just fell flat. I don't know if she was trying to reach a community of, students who she thinks are watching dancing videos on TikTok and thought they would think it was funny. But this email was circulated, obviously, outside of the NYU community and became headline news. It's a really difficult time for higher education and universities, and it's hard to communicate. It's hard for everyone to communicate during this time, because there is no roadmap. So for anyone who might be listening out there, or have friends or family who are in higher education, if you had not seen this is definitely a PR fail. In times like this, especially when you're communicating a financial distress, you cannot make light of it with a funny dance video.
You just can't. And I'm curious to hear from you, Allie. You're at Villanova's law school right now. I'm curious how the messaging to students has been. I know that there are far more universities and colleges who are doing positive things, have positive messages. We're just highlighting a couple of the really bad ones. That one was certainly bad. Now,
there's another
one at a University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. This one just made me laugh. It was so bad. They had an email that they had scheduled, which we always say in times of crisis, make sure you look at your scheduled email marketing, any scheduled social media campaigns, make sure that there's nothing that could be offensive. Well, Ole Miss sent out an email to all of its alumni, or I don't know if it was to older alumni or just all of its alumni, saying, hi, hope you're doing well. You should revisit your will, essentially, and put Ole Miss in it. Make sure you're donating to the school during this time. You might want to fix your will. So that's, and they came out and they apologized and they claimed that was just poor timing. They didn't capitalize on coronavirus to tell people to donate to their school in a will. I didn't even know that people,
apparently
alumni,
that's a thing in the South,
that wouldn't surprise me that Ole Miss alumni would want to leave part of their estate to the university, but I think they should have been a little bit more careful about that one.
You just have to remove that messaging from an email at a time like this, because you're not the organization that should be reminding people about their wills.
Brian says, hi Brian, this is the first time you've tuned
Welcome,
in.
Tooth.
Total fail. Love REM though. At least she chose a good song.
Yeah, that's what Lauren
That's
said
true.
when we were talking about it, but
That's true.
I guess we'll pivot a little bit and talk about a positive thing since we just ripped two universities, but
like I said, so many more are doing good things.
So many more are doing good things. And I mean, I think what's important while we're talking about this is, when we initially started this show, it was to talk about PR fails in an industry where most people are, dealing with crises or situations that are a little out of the ordinary, but you should be able to manage. What's different about coronavirus, obviously, is it's so different that it's hard to have concrete expectations for companies to know what to do. So, take everything we're saying with a grain of understanding that we know that this is difficult.
Yeah. We thought it was obvious. Like this NYU example just shows that people don't know that you need to be sympathetic in your messaging. And I don't want to get grim, but the worst is yet to come. So each new message you put out there you need to send it as if somebody has the virus, somebody's loved one has the virus. Be very sympathetic. There was one company that sent an email out that it said it was very doomsday. It was like, the stock market has crashed. You're probably experiencing layoffs. The pandemic is infecting us all. And then it led into a completely different, a normal message about an update.
On company business.
An update on company business. But what is that achieving? You're now freaking everybody out and then going into a normal statement. It's just try to show a little bit of compassion in this time.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with the NFL. Shockingly, I want to talk about sports. So obviously pretty much everything right now is suspended, postponed, and the NFL being the furthest out from having to start their season. A lot of people were anticipating that maybe they weren't going to have to change the way their season was functioning, but the NFL draft is coming up April 23rd to 25th, and Roger Goodell, who is the leader of the NFL, basically said that he has no plans right now to postpone the draft. I actually think this is a really good PR decision. There's been some mixed emotions about it, mainly because he hasn't given concrete examples of how they're going to be practicing social distancing if they don't postpone it. Luckily for the draft, through Zoom calls and, web calls, this should be able to be done pretty much virtually. So I'm assuming that is what's going to be coming next. But I think that if you're thinking about imaging and PR specifically, this is a great move by the NFL, because every other sports team and league is in season or was about to be in season for the MLB, and there's nothing they can do.
People need your fix.
Yeah, and there is no sports anywhere. All people are playing are replays of old games, and so the NFL actually has 100% of the sports world's attention right now. They have a unique opportunity that there is not a single live sporting event happening for the foreseeable future.
Not even the Olympics.
Not even the Olympics. And they can offer something for people to tune into. So if they postpone and wait until, the NBA and the MLB and the NHL all start again, they're losing that audience that they would have had, full viewership from. So if you're thinking about your brand and ways to connect with people, I actually think not postponing is a huge PR move. And I hope that they make everything practicing social distancing and make all the right decisions there. But I actually think that was a big PR success for the NFL.
And Johnny says, Roger and good PR? Shocking.
I know. That is shocking since he's just known for being terrible.
Yeah. Another good one, I love what Venmo is doing. Mm-hmm. So anytime, well, not every time, but a lot of people right now are donating to small businesses. Maybe it's a local yoga studio or your favorite restaurant that's out of business right now, and they're just donating a few bucks, and Venmo is noticing that, and they're for giving back. Venmo is giving back to people who do that. So I know in our Daily Carnage marketing group, someone had donated to a local business, and then they received a Venmo for $20 from Venmo, acknowledging the good work that they've been doing. So that's a good way of giving back for giving back, and it just creates a cycle of paying it forward.
Which, speaking about giving back, there's actually been a really... It looks like Is it still connected?
Are we still here? Can we get a yes?
Yeah, sorry. It was saying that it was trying to reconnect, so let us know if you're still tuned in. I'll give it a minute there to see if anyone says anything. I think we're still on. But, so, in terms of giving back, 2 episodes ago, Lauren and I were at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, which is a shocking thing to say given the state of events that have occurred. But one of the big things we talked about was TikTok and how it's such a huge platform right now, and it's a great opportunity for brands to take advantage of, which is doubled over in quarantine because pretty much everyone I know has at least made one TikTok since the quarantine has started. So I'd imagine that their downloads have doubled.
Yeah.
I actually, next episode we'll come to you with more concrete statistics about how TikTok has changed just in this time. But one company that's taking advantage of this boom and just TikTok in general is Procter & Gamble. So if you're familiar with the app at all, there is a 15-year-old girl who has become the TikTok queen. Her name is Charli D'Amelio. She's 15 years old and she essentially dances on the app. She is the stereotypical idea of what people think TikTok is. But Procter & Gamble are taking advantage of her 43 million person following. Yes, 43 million people are following a dancing 15-year-old. And they have created a social distancing dance with her. It's a paid ad that they put on TikTok and said, if you redo this dance, Procter & Gamble will donate a certain amount of meals to Feeding America, up to a certain amount of donations. And it's a great way to, one, reach an audience that people are really concerned aren't taking social distancing seriously right now. The Gen Zs and the younger people who are potentially infecting or hurting people by not staying inside, taking advantage of a new platform and using it to do good and donate. Yeah, and
that's awesome that P&G, we're seeing more and more corporations taking advantage of TikTok. I don't think it was taken as seriously for a while, but now they're seeing the huge advantage that it offers, and I think that's a great partnership. It's creative, too.
It's very creative.
It's very creative. But I think we should bring this discussion back down again with another with another fail. I want to talk about Brian lives in an apartment building called Parktown, and
Brian is Lauren's boyfriend
in Philadelphia, and he sent me a photo of the apartment. Just built a restaurant there in the last couple of months, and they offer deliveries and cocktails to the residents in the apartment buildings. And a menu that they're offering right now is called Flatten the Curve cocktails for $16. They will deliver you cocktails with an assortment of names COVID related. So one was the Quentin Quarantino, the Vesper vaccine, And those
grounds for divorce.
Grounds for divorce was a really bad one, and that was in poor taste. And it's not, for us, it's not so much the names that are harmful, other than that one, but it's more that this time of crisis, you're charging people $16 for a cocktail. First of all, it's not an essential, but maybe now would be the time to be offering this more than half off. To people who would probably love a cocktail right now, but don't want to dish out $16 for a grounds for divorce.
I think it's just, I was saying also, because the restaurant is connected to his apartment complex, it's not like they're charging an excess amount because they have to think about the gas money to deliver it, across the city. They're basically making a walk. And I get that obviously everyone's trying to be creative right now, especially businesses that have been affected by this, but I think expecting people to pay $16 for a drink that you're banking on hoping they have a sense of humor about the names is probably not the best move.
It can't be a big delivery fee too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're walking over there. Plus, Brian's apartment complex has a Facebook group or a forum that they all talk about it, and they're all posting pictures and saying it's in such poor taste. You just have to be a little bit more sensitive. That's all we're asking people, just a little bit.
Also, just a note, because Shiloh is moaning behind me, if you have never tuned into Buchanan Buzz, or if you are familiar with Buchanan Buzz, Lauren and I both have dogs, Shiloh and Ricky. They're the hound brothers that are both Australian Shepherds and tend to bark at people or things out in the windows or cry if we don't throw their toys to them. So if you hear that, just be warned that we're fine. They're just being pests.
Which fail do you want to talk about next?
Which fail do I want to talk about next? I think I want to talk about the crowds in New York City.
Oh, yes. This is really interesting.
I think that I don't know that this necessarily is a PR fail. This is just maybe a PR fail for the state. A PSA, a PR fail for the state of New York City. New York City, as far as yesterday, accounted for about over 50% of the country's cases of coronavirus. We're all acutely aware of the fact that it's a huge crisis in New York City, and it's really important that people are staying inside. Governor Cuomo has been widely recognized for his briefings and the tone that he's been taking, making sure that he's being really firm in telling New Yorkers to stay home, but also communicating a caring, kind of charismatic effect to help people feel calmer. And so I don't necessarily think it's a fail in his communications at all, because I think he's been really strong in the way he's communicated messaging, but I think the fail is maybe the people not listening to him. So if you're not familiar, the USNS Comfort is the Navy's ship hospital. It holds about 750 hospital beds and typically is not in New York City. The last time it arrived in New York City was after 9/11, obviously another huge crisis. And it arrived in the waters in New York 3 days ago, and it's obviously a huge ship. People are intrigued by it, and it's an honor per se for it to be in New York, or potentially scary that it needs to be in New York. And people ran out of their houses to take a picture of this ship coming into the water.
Which is just ironic, because the ship is providing medical supplies and aid to combat the virus, and now everyone in New York, where right now it's the worst in the world, you're all going to convene, potentially, probably at least a handful of those people get the virus and then use the aid from that ship. So
yeah, it's what's unfortunate is, so the ship itself is coming in actually it won't be serving any coronavirus patients. It's to help offload the patients in hospitals that have other illnesses and put them in a space where they can be treated, and hopefully making more beds for coronavirus patients throughout the rest of the city. And it's just the pictures. I encourage you to look them up if you haven't seen them. It's, 7 people smushed together as close as Lauren and I are, taking photos of a ship. And it's just, I think it shows that people are craving some entertainment in our lives right now. Obviously, we're all cooped up. We wish we could be going out and doing things, but I don't know if it needed to be communicated stronger from the USNS or, New York City mayor that this is happening. I don't know. I to be fair, I don't know the specifics of if New York City residents were notified that this was happening. Maybe the PR fail here is that there wasn't pre-notice, so people saw something and just reacted.
And I think the success here too, and I just want to take a minute to thank law enforcement. I know we're all thanking our healthcare providers, nurses, doctors, but our law enforcement is doing a lot too. They immediately had to step in to separate these crowds every day. Are we still on?
Showing we're still on.
Okay, we're still on. Yeah, so I want to thank law enforcement, all of our first responders, because they've been doing a great job. And success that Starbucks is doing is they're offering all first responders free coffee, I think through April. But yeah, so take a minute to thank them because they deserve it.
Definitely.
And Johnny says, New Yorkers are also cheering for healthcare workers every evening from their apartments. Yes, this is what I'm saying, Johnny, is we love our first responders. This is more a PSA to people in general, is we want to get better. We don't want to be sitting cooped up here, so don't go get in crowds. Stay away from people.
Stay away from crowds.
If someone comes near you, tell them to get away.
Yeah. I guess we'll do a positive right now since we just ripped into
Should we talk about Cottonelle? It's kind of a funny one.
Actually, yeah. We actually want this to be kind of an open discussion with everyone who's on the live right now.
And shout out to Meg for providing this one. This is a very entertaining one.
So Meg is a former coworker of ours, and she texted Lauren and I saying, I know you guys are going live later today. I think this is a great one to talk about, and that would be Cottonelle. As you all are aware, for some reason during this quarantine apocalypse, people have decided that the number one product they need is toilet paper. I have seen it firsthand in our grocery store. There is no toilet paper to be had on the shelves. So Cottonelle's tried to step in and become a part of the conversation to stop this panic. And so they created this, 1 minute video ad encouraging people to share
a square. So sharing a square, I don't know the first thing you think of when you hear share a square of toilet paper. To me, it immediately goes like, I'm giving you a square. I feel like it's not it's not a pleasant thought.
Sanitary to me. And it was in partnership with, I think
it's a good
basically
thought.
If you used hashtag share a square and showed how you were sharing your excess supply of toilet paper, they were going to be making donations up to a certain amount again. And so we want this to be kind of we want to see your reaction to this because it has been really mixed online. My initial reaction was the same as Lauren's. Meg also had an initial reaction that was similar.
She said gross in capital letters.
Yeah, but
share a square. I know. I think it's good if you're catching people's attention through that hashtag and it's for a good cause. I think it's funny, but curious. What do you think when you hear share a square?
Because people on Twitter were
success, fail.
Yeah, want to see what you think in the comments.
In the meantime, your mom just sent a pretty startling one. Got huge cruise book from Viking in the mail. Feels like they should suspend printing of those and donate money. You would be absolutely correct. That's
very correct.
Alarming, Viking. Come on. Put that on hold.
My only hope can be that books like that take so long to print that it's possible that they were sent to be printed to the printer and sent out before much of this started, but for it to arrive April 1st feels like they could have stepped in. It all goes
back to scheduling. Look at everything you're doing, all of your marketing and advertising, and make sure nothing can be offensive right now. Talk to someone like they're diagnosed with coronavirus.
I think PR success all around today was the lack of brand April Fool's jokes I saw. There was a number of articles I saw yesterday encouraging brands to be really careful about the way that they decide to play into April Fools. I saw one funny one actually. It was we're in a Facebook group called the Daily Carnage, which is a newsletter that has great PR and communications information, and someone shared in the Facebook group a April Fool's joke from the East Texas State Fair, who is claiming that Joe Exotic would be one of the performers at their summer carnival, which
shout out to
is
Joe
funny
Exotic.
Because obviously everyone's watching Tiger King and everyone can appreciate that that's definitely a joke since he is in prison. But I think in general, most companies understood that it just wasn't the time to try and be kitschy or make an off-color joke, because a lot of companies end up having PR fails just in general on April Fool's Day because they push They push it too far.
The only April Fool's joke I got was from Brian exploiting his own mother and saying, "Oh my God, I think my mom has coronavirus. She's coughing all night."
She did fall for it.
I did fall for it after 5 minutes earlier telling Katie someone's gonna text and be like, "I have coronavirus," and so
well, now we all know that Lauren is gullible.
Yeah. Yes. So, I see Maria has a question. Logos being modified, good or bad? I think one of our clients was just talking about this on the phone earlier.
Yes.
Brands trying to rebrand right now. I understand. I think a lot of PR agencies too, we're packaging things in packaging messaging in a different way right now, but I don't necessarily think you should be promoting yourself in a new logo. It just seems like you're trying to capitalize on a bad time.
Yeah, I know Maria and I have talked about the McDonald's separating the golden arches. So if you're not familiar, a number of brands have kind of changed their logos to separate pieces of the logo to encourage social distancing. McDonald's separated the golden arches. Audi separated the circles in their logo. Some are being perceived better than others. Audi tended to be a pretty positive response, while McDonald's was a pretty negative response. I don't know if that's because McDonald's is a business that, drive-through and fast food right now, while they've seen a decrease in revenue, they generally have been faring better than other restaurants. So I don't know if that's a reflection of that, where Audi necessarily isn't making money right now and selling cars, so people felt that it was more encouraging than promotional. To me, it just feels a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
If you want to encourage people to social distance, there's stronger ways to do it, I think.
And excuse me, I was answering that question as a company dropping a new logo altogether, but okay. Yes, because a client earlier was saying a company had held off doing that. But yes, I agree on the Audi and McDonald's. It just doesn't add anything to the conversation really, so not really here for it. Brian has a really clever answer to our toilet paper question. What about control your roll? Share your square sounds unsanitary. I like that. You should be a copywriter, Brian.
I don't know. It sounds a little bit like you're trying to control your bowel movements to me.
Control your roll. I like that. It was a clever.
It was good. It was good on the spot
witty.
thinking.
Thank you there. Hi, Zhenya. He says, how about grocery stores putting down markings for where to stand in line to be 6 feet apart versus those that don't? Success? Are grocery stores not doing it? Failing? I haven't seen it. Well, I haven't gone to the grocery store in like 2 weeks, but I haven't seen that. That does seem like a success to me because that's pretty much the only place we can go to right now. So I think they need to do everything in their power to make sure people stay safe. People will need to go there no matter what, so it's not like they're losing anything from doing that, but I think it's just in good faith putting up signs that do that. I would love that.
Yeah, so my mom lives in Doylestown, and at her grocery store they had X's, and they had plexiglass in front of the cashiers to keep them protected from serving all these people. And I know that she also said that I think they were only letting a certain amount of people into the store at a time to make sure that social distance could be maintained. On the other hand, I was just at I went to our Weiss and our Giant by us just yesterday, and they do not have anything. There's no X's, no plexiglass. Luckily, when I went, it wasn't really busy, so I didn't feel like overcrowded. But interestingly enough, for us, like there's no meat at every time I've gone to the grocery store, there's no meat. But when in Doylestown, there's plenty of meat. So I think one thing that's been made clear, and we actually talked about yesterday, was that grocery stores are a little overwhelmed, understandably so right now, because their supply and demand is changing. They're, could potentially be ground zero for a lot of infections. So I think that communications teams are struggling with the best way to do things. And I think if they are taking steps to put X's on the ground, it is definitely a PR success. I don't know if it's quite yet a fail if you're not doing that. I think there's other ways to try and practice social distancing and make your customers safe without doing those things, but it's certainly a success if you're doing it.
Yeah, and the companies who are doing it stand out in my mind. I would want to go to a grocery store that does that if I knew that. So we're approaching the 30-minute mark here. Should we leave on a positive note?
Okay, let's see. What can we end on here? I think we we can end on Ford and I was going to say Ford and
Actually,
GE.
Ford and GE is a good one.
So, because this kind of goes to more than just Ford and
Yeah.
GE, but Ford and GE announced a little over a week ago that they were going to be joining forces to make respirators. Shout out GE. My little brother works for them.
And a lot of companies are doing this. That
And
have
so
no
that's what I was
relation
going to say is
making
one of the
masks.
companies who
Yeah.
makes baseball uniforms is putting all their fabric towards making masks. I've seen
hand sanitizers.
hand
coming
sanitizer
a
from
car
Anheuser-Busch.
company or beer company. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that a PR success for all of us and all the companies that, you know, we're used to working with is the pivot that so many people have been willing to make to help everyone during this time. You know, making respirators when there's a huge need, pivoting your fabric to be making masks, making hand sanitizer when there's a lack of it. I think that we could, you know, it's super overwhelming right now, and we can constantly be scared in the state of the news and how this virus is going to affect our lives, but in a really crazy way, it's often nice to see like the human spirit and how we're willing to come together in a time that can seem pretty scary.
Grim. And I want to give a shout out to technology, Zoom, all the virtual apps, House Party, all of these apps that can help us stay connected, because I think that's the most important thing that we can all do is be there for each other. So if you haven't spoken to an aunt, grandparent, check in on them, see how they're doing. It's really important for mental health to just stay connected and talking to people and helping anybody, helping older people who can't go to the grocery store because there are tons of people in the store. Try to help anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we just taught my grandparents how to FaceTime last week, and my grandmother cracked me up because I was talking to her through the phone and she said, "Where's your cell phone right now?" And I said, "Mom, I'm holding it. It's how I'm talking to you." So I think if you're able to try and help some of your, your elderly family who you cannot speak with now, in some way use these amazing communications tools we have, it can be really helpful because, you know, we're all going a bit stir crazy and they're the ones that we're trying to keep even safer during this time. So yeah, definitely I think that is a great part of seeing the ways that we can use technology to come together. So I think that we'll leave you hopefully on that more positive note. We can only hope that, you know, I think that the next Buchanan Buzz will also be coming at you live from our apartment as we're stay at home through April 30th. But we hope that maybe in May we'll be back in the office, but we will continue to come at you every 2 weeks, and hopefully it can just be a nice little break in your day to talk about something else that's going on in the world other than sadness or scariness. So next 2 weeks might be coronavirus, it might be something else. Please send us any topic ideas that you have or anything that you want to hear about. We want this to be, you know, a conversation as much as we want you to be involved. So, and
the show is about fails, but let us know do you like all of the good successes that we're talking about, because there's a lot of negativity going on. What do you want to hear right now?
Yeah, if it's more helpful to just talk about the good things for a little, then we can do that.
But giving us feedback is really helpful to us. So keep doing that and keep asking questions. Thank you for all the questions and everybody who tuned in. We love talking to you and answering everything that we can.
Yeah, so. And if you don't already, follow us on our Facebook page or Instagram page. You can send us messages on both those about topics that you want to hear about. And if you haven't watched any episodes of the Buchanan Buzz before, go back and watch some of our old episodes. All of our old episodes are also on our YouTube channel. So thank you all for everyone who joined in today. We are so appreciative of you taking time to sit and talk with us today, and we hope you're all staying safe and healthy.